check who they are, how do they do it. We're not going to do that. The the reason that we must deal with those who come up and confirm is that when you do that, you go out of your way to undermine the organization. That's the reason that if you go and vote in a secret ballot and you vote with the opposition, and the third point we're making is an assumption that we don't know who voted what way. Uh, but if you go and say, I did vote with the opposition, then you are actively trying to undermine the ANC, and actually you are dealing with the foundation of an organization. You have to confront. Uh, our starting point is that this was not a motion of no confidence just on Zuma. It was a process of trying to dislodge the ANC from power. Uh, that's why next week we'll go back to the caucus, talk to the MPs, explain to them the implication to their views. Because in the caucus, that's where MPs must express views. It is not going around and look for our attention by undermining the ANC. We'll talk to the ANC, to the MPs who continue to speak in public in defense of the ANC position and explain to them the dangers of doing so, particularly when it comes to undermining the African National Congress. That we do not accept that the ANC be undermined by its own members. You know, there's a when you're working in the same organization, but you work against it. The that is used in military is called a fifth column. A fifth column is are members of the same army to work against it, who can shoot other soldiers from behind. We cannot allow that and promote the notion of a fifth column in the ANC. We noted actually it was quite important that that motion was defeated because it uncovered the uncontrollable desire to be in power of the Democratic Alliance. I think Musi Maimane exploded and began to talk about dissolution of parliament. To me, it's not just dissolution of parliament. It's the hurry he is in. He's imagining himself a president of the republic, therefore has this uncontrollable uh, ambition for power and want to appeal to people like those that every 5 years here we're having elections, people must wait for the elections and get elected to power and not try to execute a coup uh, to be in power. And I think at the heart of it uh, is the failure to accept outcomes. Because once you begin to say many things when your motion is defeated, it means you are not accepting the outcomes. One of the issues that we should look into is the growing tendency of taking the country to a state of lawfare, where political decisions and processes are taken over by the judiciary. It's quite tempting, it's nice, it looks constitutional democracy, it undermines democracy. Actually, when it is in the extreme, it's not when you take cases to court, it is when in the middle of debate, a political discussion, you tell that if things don't go my way, I will take this to court. That is actually a very strong signal that we're moving towards lawfare. And lawfare means that you totally displace parliamentary processes with the judiciary. When it is extreme, it becomes judiciocracy, where the judiciary is running the judiciary, is running parliament, is running politics, and it is doing everything. Then We have no democracy when that happens. And I think South Africa must be very weary of pushing our country to that direction, because when you reach that direction, democracy is endangered. So the motion for the dissolution of parliament is elements of that, taking the country to lawfare and want to ascend to power by default. Second issue is the assault case of by Comrade Mantashe, Umtu. As I said, he's young, and I said 32 is not young. 32 is not young. It's not young. Let's take out the youth out of it and condemn the abuse of women outright. That's the first. And appreciate the fact that the ANC is expected to take action in this regard, and it will. But equally important, that's why many people say they quoted a number of cases, we did this to so-and-so, did this to so-and-so. I said, no, there's a unique aspect on the Do case, because the Do case also reflected intolerance of different sexual preferences. That issue is an issue that we should deal with, because there are quite a number of people who get assaulted and killed because they prefer different sexual orientation. Sexual orientation must be tolerated, and in dealing with this case, that aspect must not be underplayed, because it's the reality in this case. So that is where the complexity of this case is. It's not just straightforward case of arresting a culprit, who has assaulted a woman and so forth. That part must be condemned. You can't assault women and abuse them because you are irritated. But the other aspect is that sexual orientation of an individual should never be used as a point of ridicule. And I think in the debate up to now, that aspect is underplayed. And we think that we should play it out as well, because it is at the heart of that issue. But law enforcement agencies should continue doing what they should do. We must hope the outcome of the case of the Reserve Bank against the determination of the public protector. When that happened, we called it public protector overreach. Now we're being generous to ourselves, creating some words that are not in the vocabulary, public protector overreach. And we think the outcome is quite important in the sense that it dealt with the question of that overreach. Welcome the announcement and the pronouncement of free and fair elections in Kenya. It's good for the continent, it's good for Africa, it's good for Kenya. We must also welcome the fact that the First Lady of Zimbabwe is appearing in court for doing something that should not be done by a First Lady, in the First Lady. And number two, that should not be done by a parent. Because if we bring up our kids as just a collection of eggs, we must look after it, even when they grow to a particular age. We are going to destroy society. We're just introducing those issues to you. It's not a media briefing, as I said. It's just issues that we're raising for a discussion. We're welcoming the engagement and the debate. It's not 5 questions. You raise a question, you debate it, we exhaust that, we go to the next, we discuss that and exhaust it. It will help the chairperson of SANEP not to interject. We're saving her from herself. We're saving her from herself. Yeah. Yes, I know.
Thank you, sir.
We set up a conversation. You set up a parallel interview. Okay, go.
You can hijack by this one.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. There you are.
SG.
Molo Ranjin.
Tash.
Molo Natash. Or you agreed, you phoned each other to come late. Almost walked out. We almost walked out on you. Okay, fine. Anybody can talk.
SG, you said that you're going to deal with those that have publicly
Yes.
said that they support the decision for the president to go. Just clarity, does that mean that you will have a disciplinary process?
Yes.
And then number two, just so that we are clear, who are the three that you are going to be DCing? And if they happen to include somebody like Derek Hanako, was the proposal for him to be moved as chair of the disciplinary committee?
Let me explain this. We're not going to stand here and say so and so is going to be disciplined, so and so. We don't do that because we have to talk to the people, facts, and engage them in the process. But definitely, our constitution gives us authority to discipline, and we'll use it, we'll invoke it as discipline. Was there for them to be removed as the chairman of the DC? I don't think the issue is the proposal to remove it, is his tweets put him in a very difficult position to be able to chair the national committee because she tweets every morning. She has an ongoing commentary on issues. Now, when things come before him, everybody will ask for him to recuse himself. That's the issue. So removing him as chair will be the latter part of the process. But at this point in time, because there's an ongoing commentary on every issue in his tweet page, compromises him as the chairperson of the disciplinary committee because the issue that he has tweeted about will have to be explained to him. And if I'm talking to him about something he tweeted about, I will ask him to recuse himself as chairman of the DC.
SJ, on that note, just wondering, you're talking about some of these senior ANC members taking to social media to express their views outside of the organization that may necessarily be in conflict with what the organization stands for or is against. However, don't you think that that type of tendency and that strength, it shows to greater extent the lack of trust and confidence in the ANC's internal processes and moves to deal with serious issues facing the organization. I can cite, for example, the Integrity Commission that is seen to be toothless, where you can't deal with wayward or errant senior party members or leaders, as it were. You also expressed a view on the tendency by the opposition to rush to the courts. We call it idiocracy or lawfare. And doesn't that type of tendency show that some, it could be about the ANC or in government, that some of your ministers are failing mismanagement of key departments that are literally, technically, you could say that are under administration by their own failures to amendment on all of that. I think that concern you. All
Don't, don't ask many questions because you have the freedom to come back. Okay. So it's not like in a media briefing where you must ask all your questions. Ask a question, let's deal with that. You can come back. The maybe there's an element of people feeling that there's no incapacity with issues, but there's also a risk of people actively and deliberately undermining the organization. That is my bigger problem. Number two, taking issue to social media is not an issue. If you to ask me, social media is a reality that you can do away with. It's not the issue. The issue is whether I can go to social media to frontally attack and insult Zizi Koto. Is that not abuse of a space that is there? And therefore go to the social media to do what you fail to do internally. Let me tell you, I actually get disappointed when a senior member, a member of the NSC, goes public and say leadership is failing to do that. Because at that point in time, this leader is excluding himself from his responsibility or her responsibility. Because the highest decision making of the NSC is the National Executive Committee. So I can't move out of the NSC and say leadership is not doing work. Because if I do that, at that point, I'm engaged in self-gratification and self-righteousness that I know how to lead, but all these others are not leading. But you have a responsibility. You are a member of the NSC. You are a leader in your own right. That's why when they always give you information as sources, I normally tell you that what kind of a leader is this who will relegate himself from a leader to a source? If I talk to any of you, I always insist, they say it's me, because I can't relegate myself into a source. I'm a leader of the ANC, I'm Gwede Mantashe. Say so in your report. So it may be the incapacity of the ANC, and that incapacity includes failure of those leaders to do their work as part of that leadership collective, and therefore use its social media as a leverage to do what they fail to do in executing their work. Now, lawfare. Let me explain what I call lawfare. I'm not talking of a minister who fails to get taken to court. As well, other people come here and ask us, what do you do when this minister does this or a municipality does this? I normally give them advice here, take that to court, to the court. Because it's an avenue that is there in society. Where I call it lawfare is where there is a deliberate effort to replace legislative work and executive work with the judiciary. And if we're debating in the legislature, even before my argument fails, you already put it that if this thing doesn't happen, I will take you to court. Then you are actually ushering in lawfare. We don't say ministers must not be taken to court. We don't say government must not be taken to court. We say that is the right thing to do. But it is lawfare when you want to replace legislative processes and executive processes with it. Yes, to us.
You have your hands full.
I have no hands full, they are empty.
I just saw a letter now that was written by the study group on public service and administration, I can't remember the other department, to the chief whip, complaining about Makosi Court. And essentially it amounts to them saying we refuse to engage with Makosi Court and its behavior has violated section 25.5 of the Constitution. Now you have ANC versus ANC in that situation. What is your view? Because needs to continue to happen. The parliamentary function needs to happen, but it seems now the kind of grievance and dispute that is happening within the ANC itself is now affecting.
No, it's not within
how.
It's in Parliament.
Well, ANC.
Ah.
Yeah. In line with this.
And they go over
The MPs haven't pushed for that static group committee.
Okay.
Yes. Because Makosi has been.
Okay. Now let's talk principle. Let's leave Makosi. You know, there is a basic that I was taught very early in my political life, that any action generates a reaction. Okay. Now, if you are given a responsibility, instead of providing leadership, you behave as if you are in a beauty contest, you want to catch attention. You must appreciate that people who are leading you are also a right to associate and dissociate. Now, you have a protest of MPs who say, no, this behavior is not acceptable. They have a right to say so. In the same way as Makosi has, over a period of time, justified her right to say anything anywhere to anybody. Other MPs say, no, no, no. This behavior of the leader of our study group is unacceptable to us. And I think the first thing that we should do, you should analyze whether those MPs have a right to express a view. That's where the starting point. And protect their right to express a view. Then you can deal with the merit and demerit of whether they should go to a meeting, because one of the issues is that if you become abusive of your powers and responsibility, people can only rescue themselves from you by not just not going to a meeting. You see? If I go to a meeting, it is chaired by Zizi. Every time Zizi chairs the meeting, in opening remarks, he insults the ANC. And Zizi opens another meeting, he insults the ANC. As an ANC member, I have a right to say it to government. Because you never protect every parliament, but as a member of the ANC, I can't subject myself to your abuse. That's what we're going to be dealing with. We've seen that letter. It's going to Jackson. I would imagine that Jackson will talk to us. We'll deal with that issue as well. But starting point is to say those MPs have a right to disagree with Makosi. She can't have the only truth and only truth in Parliament. So help her God. No, it can't be. Other people have views, very strong views. That's why we're going to the caucus next week to talk to members of the ANC, because since that vote, all the discussion and media coverage is about the 20-something, 30-something who voted with the opposition. And very little is said about the 198 who defeated the motion of no confidence. We're going to Parliament to talk mainly to the 198 who defeated the motion, and also talk to those who voted with the opposition. Yes, Ndebu?
It seems it's free for all.
Yes.
Already we are sampling
You know, Ntebo, there's something called ambition. Okay. Many people condemn it. I never condemn ambition. I think many people, it has a more positive impact on them because it drives them to action. Okay. Now you see, when you have ambition that is untempered with, you can do many things. See now, everybody accepts nomination from some half a branch in one quarter of the Eastern Cape, another accept nomination there. And I think people are just raising their hands that, hey, listen, I'm available. Nominations are going to be opened in September. And I can tell you, those 8, 10 members of the NEC who have raised their hand to be president are going to be cut to a very minimum. Because branches now will be nominated. Others are hoping to be nominated. And they are going to fall sideways, okay, when the actual nomination happens. And that is the beauty of an open democratic process. Is that people now are going around. Last time we talked about horses having bolted. I was telling them last time, I said, hey, these horses have not bolted, they're running in the fields. They're all over running. Now, when you have horses running all over, what do? You stick to the processes, you allow them howling and shouting, but you say nomination will be opened in September. And that's when the real nomination will take place. Now, when you report about anybody, if a branch in Kala can nominate me, I will get a title in the media called presidential hopeful. That is one branch in Kala that is nominated, but you all describe me as a presidential hopeful. Eh? Now, out of 4,016 branches, you call me a presidential hopeful. I'm nominated for one branch in Kara. Every time I make a comment, I am commenting as a presidential hopeful. We can only talk of those hopefuls when they're nominated by the branches. They pass the threshold that is being set. Kudala lam for a pagames. Lomvosa nditem akangicela kusiqoko kuba ngiyakamkhomba. Continue mhleka. No, I'm not speaking for government, and I always make that distinction. Can I tell why is that important? Because I'm a member of the Communist Party. I never speak for the Communist Party. Have you noticed that? Eh? Even when the Communist Party resolved, the president must step aside. I never announced that president must step aside here because I am not representing the Communist Party. I am not representing the cabinet. I'm speaking for the ANC. The ANC will take the action, it will process Mtu's case normally in the judicial process because there's nothing in the ANC we can say he must step aside from. He is not serving as a leader in any structure of the ANC. So the only line of action will be disciplinary hearing. That is what will happen in the ANC. I can't speak for cabinet, I don't know the rules there. And I was proposing, why the Secretary General can't be allowed to sit in the cabinet meeting. It was that I know.
Using the Communist Party.
And I go there and I express the views of the Communist Party and of the ANC in the cabinet. Now, I'm not allowed to sit in the cabinet. Okay. Mfungo is a follow-up for me.
More employees from just on the succession how are you planning to manage with the leading so-called leading candidate manage the situation whereby on the campaign trail that you come to the basic to the party whereby you have factions having a love of approach that we end up having more damage done to the image of the ANC rather than
We have no candidates. There's no candidate. We have no candidate. People who aspire to be candidates. Once people have these aspirations and they behave as if they are in the primaries, many things will happen. Many things will happen. People are going to insult one another. Ours is to say there must be a line that you cannot cross in terms of talking about the other. What you cannot afford is when people take a coat that is unfair and they wear it. You know what that means? That's to give a respect. Give a respect. One of just way upper. Then if we talk about corruption, people say, you are talking about us. Refer to us as corrupt. But we have not said Gwede is corrupt. They say we must clean corruption. Okay. And people take the jacket and say, why are you describing us as corrupt? You see, we can't help that. Because if that would be the case, people will not talk about anything. If you are campaigning for leadership, you must be able to express your views on the negative tendencies that impact negatively on the ANC. Otherwise, what kind of a candidate are you? Why should people nominate you if you are not standing for anything? You must be able to say, I'm standing for clean government. I'm standing for a corruption-free government. You're not talking about your competitor. You're talking about what should be done, task at hand in governance. And if people take it and say, and wear that jacket, it's their business. And I ask why was it I'm always teaching you, never call a woman with another woman's name. You're going to be in trouble. I'm teaching him. He continues committing this mistake. Kubamba. Our word is that the Marikana case is ongoing. What we have done from beginning, and we continue to do, is that you never use a disaster to score political points. That has been our approach. It is always our approach. We'll continue doing that. But we sympathize with the Marikana case. Our view is that the question of the socio-economic standing of the situation, provision of housing, schools, and so forth, should be prioritized in Marikana. That's the only way you can deal with the situation in Marikana. The private company, which is the employer, must contribute to that development. It is not an issue you use to score political points. You avoid that at all costs, but you sympathize with Marikana Actually, if you ask me, a debate about Marikana is not started. Until that debate starts, only then will we make sense of Marikana.
What,
You didn't say anything to me earlier. What does that mean?
When did the debate have started? When was it?
It's when you debate Marikana in its full context. You know, Tulaza, I want you to download the diagnostic report to the policy conference. You'll understand what I mean. Is that you must discuss Marikana in terms of the tragedy. And you must also discuss Marikana within the context of standing up to apparatus to undermine it. That debate is not being opened in South Africa. It is a holy ground. Until we walk in there, we'll never solve it. Actually, many of the journalists, when they talk about Marikana, they talk about 34. Total discount the 10 lives that were left, that were lost in the run-up to the tragedy. And because we leave that, we're not discussing Marikana in its entirety. Man, the fact that it's not a media conference, you can't all be cheering. Yes, right. See?
the integrity policy, like the power to be when it comes to